The U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003 was a significant event with far-reaching consequences. Here's a detailed overview of the key elements leading up to the invasion. Context and background. 1. 9/11 attacks and war on terror. The September 11, 2001, terrorist attacks on the United States by al-Qaeda led to a new American foreign policy focus on the war on terror. The Bush administration aimed to prevent future attacks by targeting both terrorist organizations and regimes suspected of supporting terrorism. 2. Axis of evil. In his 2002 State of the Union address, President George W. Bush labeled Iraq, Iran, and North Korea as part of an axis of evil, claiming these countries posed a grave threat to world peace due to their pursuit of weapons of mass destruction, WMD, and support for terrorism. Justifications for the invasion. 1. Weapons of mass destruction, WMD. The U.S. government argued that Iraqi President Saddam Hussein possessed WMDs and was actively seeking to develop nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. Intelligence reports, which were later found to be flawed, suggested that Iraq had ongoing WMD programs. 2. Terrorist links. The Bush administration claimed that Iraq had links to terrorist groups, including al-Qaeda. This connection was used to argue that Iraq could potentially provide terrorists with WMDs. 3. UN resolutions. Iraq had been subject to various United Nations resolutions since the end of the Gulf War in 1991, requiring it to disarm and allow inspections by the UN. The U.S. accused Iraq of failing to comply with these resolutions. 4. Regime change. There was also a broader strategic goal of replacing Saddam Hussein's regime with a democratic government, which proponents believed would lead to greater stability and democracy in the Middle East. Diplomatic efforts. 1. UN Security Council. The U.S. sought a new UN Security Council resolution to authorize the use of force against Iraq. Resolution 1441, passed in November 2002, gave Iraq a final opportunity to comply with disarmament obligations. However, disagreements among Security Council members, particularly France, Russia, and China, led to a diplomatic impasse. 2. Coalition building. The U.S. formed a coalition of willing countries to support the invasion. Key allies included the United Kingdom, Australia, and Poland. However, many countries and significant global public opinion were opposed to the invasion. Military preparation. 1. Troop deployment. The U.S. began deploying large numbers of troops to the Gulf region in early 2003. By March, over 200,000 American and Allied forces were positioned in Kuwait and other neighboring countries. 2. Operational planning. The invasion plan, known as Operation Iraqi Freedom, involved a rapid, high-intensity campaign designed to quickly topple the Iraqi regime. The strategy emphasized shock and awe tactics to overwhelm Iraqi forces and minimize U.S. casualties. The invasion. 1. Commencement. The invasion began on March 20, 2003, with a series of airstrikes aimed at decapitating the Iraqi leadership, followed by a ground invasion. 2. Swift victory. U.S. and coalition forces quickly advanced into Iraq, facing sporadic resistance. By April 9, Baghdad had fallen, and Saddam Hussein's regime effectively collapsed. Aftermath. 1. Occupation and insurgency. The initial military success was followed by a prolonged and costly occupation. An insurgency emerged, leading to significant American and Iraqi casualties. Sectarian violence between Sunni and Shia groups also escalated, further destabilizing the country.